Welcome back to another video. My name is Gordon Frayne and we're back with another weekly Bitcoin and crypto market update for Friday, May 31st, 2024. As always, before we jump into the content, please make sure to grab your free copy of my book, The Rise of Bitcoin, in the description below. It's going to be the first link in the description, so make sure and grab it now. It is my gift to you. Make sure you grab it while it's free. As always, if you enjoy the content, please make sure to smash that thumbs up button, hit the subscribe button below as well, and hit the bell notification icon so you can get notified every time we drop a new video. We're dropping multiple videos every single week, so you're going to want to get notified so you can hit your crypto goals. So it has been another very interesting week in the Bitcoin and crypto markets. Bitcoin currently sitting at a price of $67,240, down ever so slightly from this time last Friday. We were down about 1.4% for Bitcoin on the week. Ethereum is up ever so slightly, up about 1.4% on the week. It has held with some of those gains that we saw from last week with the run-up in price, thanks to the approval of the spot Ethereum ETF at the middle period of last week. BNB is sitting at about $591, down about 1%, and Solana is down about 1.33% as well on the week as a whole. So very much similar prices all around to this time last week. And if we jump over to the overall crypto market cap, we can see that we've got prices at around 2.52 trillion for the overall crypto market cap versus about 2.54 trillion this time last week. Pretty much the same prices, down ever so slightly on the overall crypto market cap since last week as well. Fear and Greed Index currently sitting at about a score of 72, 73 here as of Friday, May 31st, 2024. So we are down ever so slightly from last week. Actually, we're up ever so slightly from last week, even though the price has stayed roughly around the same. Bitcoin dominance is down ever so slightly week over week as well. We can see that this large red candle was for last week. We were sitting at about 54.5% this time last week when we made our weekly update video. We're currently sitting at 54.25%. We're seeing a little bit of a bounce here with the candle turning green, so I'm not sure where we're going to close the week, but overall just down ever so slightly on the week and down about 1.5% since these 56% highs around the middle of May. Altcoin season index, and as we jump over to that, what we can see here is that it is still a Bitcoin heavy month. I'm just going to refresh the page here. We have a altcoin season score of 37 and it is 39 for the past month. Generally, what this means is that it is more of a Bitcoin month than an altcoin month. Again, when we look at the Bitcoin dominance, we can see, and if we zoom out here, we have been on a pretty big uptrend since the beginning of 2023, and that has not really broken to the downside quite yet. We're not currently in that altcoin season quite yet, but could be incoming in the next few months. As we scroll down, we can see the top 50 performers over the past month, specifically Bitcoin itself in black here in the middle of the chart, up just under 15% month over month. We've had some outliers here in terms of biggest gainers over the past month. We've seen Toncoin up 217% month over month, so big moves being made by Ton. We dropped a price prediction video for Ton on the channel the other day, so you can make sure to check that out as well. Meme coins like Pepe, Flocky, and Bonk all up over 50, 60, and 117% for Pepe month over month. Some huge gains there. We've got Uniswap up 49%, Link up 32%, Render up 30%, Ethereum up 25%, Solana up about 22%. So lots of big cap performers in the past month with gains in excess of 15, 20, 30%. On the lower end of the table, we've got the worst performers of the month. We've got Sui down 11%, ICP down about 10%, Optimism down about 8%, VeChain down about 5%, HBAR down 1.8%. We've got XRP down about 0.4% and DOT down about 0.2% as well. Overall, the majority of the top 50 coins have been performing pretty well over the past 30 days, with some outliers down about 5 to 10%. Jumping over to the stock to flow model, again, it's always worth visiting this and taking a brief look, but basically what we can see is the dot turned red here means that we have come through the most recent Bitcoin halving here at the end of April 2024. We are on trajectory, or still on the trajectory of the Bitcoin stock to flow, which would see us hitting prices above $100,000 for Bitcoin by September of 2024 if we continue to trend along the Bitcoin stock to flow model, with prices reaching potentially 200,000 by the 2025 timeframe. Again, remains to be seen if we will continue to track on the Bitcoin stock to flow model, but we are currently sitting slightly above the trend line here, and if we can see prices getting to around $100,000 by September, we would be still on track for the Bitcoin stock to flow model. Jumping over to the narratives month-to-date performance, again, what this shows us is the best performing narratives of the past month for May. Obviously, as we're closing out the month of May here, it's interesting to look back and see which narratives were the best performing. Memes, obviously no surprise here that memes were the best performing narrative of the month of May, given the fact that we saw outperformers here with the meme coins, with Floki, Bonk, and a number of other meme coins that have outperformed the rest of the market over the month of May. Makes a lot of sense that we're seeing those outperformers here when it comes to the narratives. We've also got oracles, identity, liquid staking derivatives, DeFi, decentralized physical infrastructure, artificial intelligence, DeFi 2.0, real yield, and real world assets, all outperforming over the past month or so. So again, it's worth keeping an eye on these narratives because the assets that you hold are going to be part of these narratives, which will have their own mini cycles throughout the course of the bull market. So if you want to be getting in and out of positions and making yourself as profitable as possible, it's always worth keeping an eye on which narratives are outperforming and which narratives your assets are a part of. Moving on to the spot Bitcoin ETF tracker, what we can see here is that we have finally had the flippening of BlackRock over Grayscale. BlackRock is now the largest holder in terms of the 9 new spot Bitcoin ETF issuers in the US. It has outperformed Grayscale in terms of growth over the past few months, and we were anticipating this flippening happening where BlackRock now holds more individual Bitcoin than Grayscale tells, remembering that Grayscale started off with more than 600,000 Bitcoin in January of 2024. Their supply has continued to dwindle, remembering the fact that Grayscale was operating in the capacity of a trust before becoming the ETF. Due to their significantly higher fees here for the spot Bitcoin ETF, we have seen many holders of the Grayscale Bitcoin Trust continue to sell off their assets in favor of other spot Bitcoin ETF issuers, thanks to lower fees. And just this past week, we did see BlackRock flip Grayscale with regard to the amount of individual Bitcoin held by them. So we can see here, we've got Fidelity now in third place technically after BlackRock and Grayscale with about 164,000 Bitcoin. We've got ARK Invest and Bitwise in the mid-table here with 47,000 and 36,000 respectively. And then at the bottom end of the table, we've got VanEck, Valkyrie, Invesco, Franklin Templeton, WisdomTree, and Hashdex making up the remaining Bitcoin. But interestingly, we have now surpassed 570,000 Bitcoin, 570,660 Bitcoin that has been accumulated by the 9 new ETFs, excluding Grayscale, since January 10th, 2024. A crazy amount of Bitcoin that has been accumulated. We're closing in on that 600,000 mark. And once we actually get to 630,000 Bitcoin held by the 9 new ETFs, they will have accumulated 3% of the entire Bitcoin supply. So again, more than 2.5% of the entire supply has been purchased by the 9 new spot Bitcoin ETF issuers in only about 95 trading days. We still have over 150 trading days to go in the year 2024 alone. So it will be very interesting to see how much Bitcoin the ETF issuers can purchase by the end of this calendar year. Jumping over to the Bitcoin cycle low multiple, again, what we're seeing in this chart here is the performance of Bitcoin in the lead up to and aftermath of the previous 4 Bitcoin halvings. In the blue or era 1 line, we can see the performance of Bitcoin in the lead up to and aftermath of the 2012 halving. In the orange, we can see the price of Bitcoin and the action that it took in the aftermath of the 2016 halving. And then in the green line, we can see the aftermath and performance of Bitcoin after the 2020 halving. In the red line, we can see the performance of Bitcoin in the lead up to the 2024 halving that we just had here at day 0, represented in this graph in April of 2024. And now we're seeing the performance of Bitcoin continuing to map along this red line. And again, the macro point that we're trying to make here is that in the aftermath of each of these eras or halving events, we have seen parabolic moves for Bitcoin to the upside, putting in new all-time highs and putting in all-time highs for its respective cycle in about the 12 to 18 month period after the halving event. This time around, we did put in a new all-time high for Bitcoin pre-halving, many people believing that is thanks to the continuous flow of Bitcoin from the Bitcoin ETFs that were approved in January. We have seen a little bit of a dip here in the past month or two, but Bitcoin has bounced back up from that $60,000 level all the way back up to $70,000 even just a couple of days ago, and now we're currently sitting at that $67,500 mark. So lots of bullish sentiment on the horizon. Past performance is not always indicative of future price, but if we go by the trend and if we understand how the halving event creates that supply shock and the amount of Bitcoin now entering circulation is reduced from 900 per day to 450 per day for the next 4 years, then we are in for a very interesting 12 to 18 months. Next, we're moving on to real-world asset tokenization. And again, this is just another data point that we like to keep track of. Tokenized treasuries here, real-world assets.xyz. We can see that we've got about 1.4 trillion in terms of overall, 1.4 billion in terms of overall tokenized treasuries here, up 0.7% from this time last week. And we can see a breakdown of the chains where most of the action is happening. Obviously, Ethereum making up the vast majority here in terms of asset tokenization for blockchains that are representing overall tokenization of assets. Stellar XLM in second place with a good chunk in 353 million. Solana and XDC making up the remainder, with a number of small caps making up a very, very small percentage here. But again, we're seeing the continuous flow of capital into tokenized treasuries and the tokenization of everything starting to happen. We know that BlackRock have issued their own fund on Ethereum for asset tokenization. Over the coming years, we've done a bunch of videos on asset tokenization on the channel. You can check them out. And BlackRock CEO Larry Fink being on the record talking about how he believes the Bitcoin spot ETFs are somewhat of a stepping stone towards this world where we begin the tokenization of everything. So lots of exciting stuff going on here. Again, another big story of the week was the fact that we had Mt. Gox transfers of $9 billion worth of Bitcoin to a single address as part of repayment plans. So people who lost funds as part of the Mt. Gox hack a number of years ago are now seeing funds being distributed back out to them. This meant that 107,000 individual Bitcoin have been moved since early Asian hours on Tuesday, with Bitcoin shedding 1.2% on expectations of selling pressure. So as we did see with Bitcoin during the week, just jumping back over to the 7-day chart here, we did see Bitcoin getting all the way back up above $70,000 here before that Mt. Gox news of potential selling pressure. somewhat drove the price back down a little bit, despite continuous flows from the Bitcoin ETFs. If we go over to our flows tracker, we can see that the past number of weeks have been very positive. We've seen a lot of positive inflows, particularly in the second half of May. This week, not so much in the positive because we did see continued sell-off from Grayscale, but still every trading day this week has been a positive net flow in terms of assets into Bitcoin. Just yesterday on May 30th, we did see over 706 Bitcoin of positive net inflows of capital into the Bitcoin spot ETFs. So despite the continuous positive flow, we did see a slight drop in price from those $70,000 mark, given the news of all of this Bitcoin that is potentially being redistributed to Mt. Gox debtors. So lots of interesting stuff going on in the market, lots of positive sentiment. ETF flows continue to track to the upside. We can see that in the second half of May, we've regained this upwards trend with regards to positive net inflows. Lots of exciting stuff going on with the approval of the Ethereum ETF and what that could mean for the market and the overall crypto space as a whole as we move forward. So very exciting times, lots of stuff going on in the space. As always, if you enjoy the content, please make sure to smash that thumbs up button below. Hit the subscribe button as well. We're on the road to our first 10,000 subscribers, and it would mean the world if you subscribe and hit that bell notification icon so you can get notified every time we drop a new video. We're dropping videos pretty much every single day on the channel, so you're going to want to get notified. Make sure to grab your free copy of The Rise of Bitcoin. It's the first link in the description below. Go grab it while it's free. I hope you enjoy it, and as always, we will catch you in the next one.